Hello there, everyone. All my followers of darkness, shadow scavengers, and villain aficionados, welcome, bienvenue to one of my good old fashioned reviews. I'm your host, Laura Shadows, as always, and here I am to talk about, well, since Star Wars Tales of the Underworld has been announced, it's going to be released on May the 4th, then what better way to celebrate and talk about the second edition of Star Wars Tales, which of course is Star Wars Tales of the Empire. So without any further ado, let's go. So basically, the plot this time is going to be about Morgan Elsbeth and Barriss Offee. I mean, out of all the characters they could have chosen, from like William Tarkin to Governor Price to Callus to like Thrawn, or maybe even like Captain Pelion, or I don't know, like there's so many Imperials they could have chosen, or like Ray Sloan. Maybe they could have introduced like some other like legend Imperials, like you're saying Izzard. I don't know, but of all the characters they've chosen, those two, I was like, wow, like this literally the choice came out of nowhere, But it kind of makes sense in a way. So basically, the plot explores of the Tales of the Empire. I mean, the plot explores like basically the rise of Morgan Elsbeth, like her connection to with the Night Sisters and Dathomir, of Dathomir, basically all the way to her connections to the Empire, how she met Thrawn, and all the way how she rose to power as the Magistrate of Corvus, basically before the events of the Mandalorian season 2. When it comes to Barriss Offee, basically the events after Order 66, how she became an Inquisitor, all the way to her redemption arc, towards the end, basically. So now I will be honest. Out of both like storylines, I had to say Morgan Elsbeth's story is the one I wasn't interested. Honestly, like I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought her character was fine in Mandalorian season 2. I liked her in Ahsoka. Don't get me wrong. Diane Lee Innocento, like she did a marvelous performance. But out of all the characters, she was the least interesting one for me, especially when it comes to like not just simply so far all the Star Wars tales, but like even in Star Wars Tales of the Empire. But anyway, I really like but I still enjoy how they explored how she was a Night Sister when she was young, then all the way how General Grievous invaded Dathomir, how she became, how basically her all the Night Sisters were like massacred, how she was saved by the Mountain Clan, like a different type of like sisters, basically how she entered the Empire, meeting Thrawn and everything, and also all the way how her life, as a magistrate and everything. Like that, I will admit, it was interesting, and I'm usually a guy, who always welcomes like a new additional information when it comes to like certain characters, to kind of basically when you're watching them on Mandalorian season 2 or even Ahsoka when it comes to Morgan Elsbeth's case this time, it kind of gives you a different point of view on the character. It kind of makes you understand, like, why she is who she is and everything. But the one thing for certain, Morgan Elsbeth, like, she was evil all the way from the beginning. I mean, if we have, with everything that she has been through, I kind of get it. But again, she was not my interesting bit of Tales of the Empire. I do have to be honest. But I will say it was my favorite part of her arc was the moment when Morgan Elsbeth met with Thrawn, basically, kind of showing how they became connected and everything. Like that, I will admit that was the most interesting part. And seeing again Lars Mikkelsen voicing Thrawn, it was just simply fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Yeah, but besides that, I mean, like I said, from her character arc, her like personality, like from like different timelines, and like some characters returning, some new characters, like and everything. Like Morgan Elsbeth's arc, like I said, it's in a way, it's a little bit like simple and everything, but again, not my interesting part of Tales of the Empire. But that's still, with everything that we got, honestly, like I said, from like a different type of sisters, rewatching the massacre of Dathomir's Night Sisters, all the way to like her connection to the Empire, how she met Thrawn, and also like some voice revelations all the way till the end and everything, how she became Magistrate of Corvus. That that was interesting, but her character herself, not that much. Now going back to the part where I was really interesting, and that was interested, I would say, not interesting, but yeah, it was interesting, and I was interested. Is Barriss Offee. Oh, because she was a character that everyone was interested. What the hell happened to her after the Clone Wars season 5? I mean, seriously, like I know that in Legends, she was executed by the stormtroopers after Order 60, by no by the stormtroopers, by the clone troopers, by when Order 66 was activated. In Legends, however, in canon, after she was in prison, we didn't knew shit about her. Like, what happened to her? Is she dead? Is she alive? Did she escape? Did she become an inquisitor? Like, nothing. So this part of Tales of the Empire actually tells that story, and I'll be honest, I really liked her journey all the way from when she was in prison all the way till the end. Although I will admit her ending is a little bit anticlimactic, and came out of nowhere. But anticlimactic, I will still say it's not like done in a bad way. It's in a good way. But I understand that some people might have a problem with it. I do understand. But anyway, I really liked the overall idea of like how she became an inquisitor. How she trained basically with other former like Padawan students. For basically to get the title, of the inquisitor. Her relationship with the Grand Inquisitor, which by the way, I just want to say it was really great to see the Grand Inquisitor back. And also like see her basically as an inquisitor throughout like different missions and everything. Also, by the way, I just have to mention it was really great how they expanded on the fourth sister in Tales of the Empire. Like because and also what was also even way better is that they got the actual actress who played her in Obi-Wan Kenobi to voice her in Tales of the Empire. Really well done, a really great choice. So overall, like what we got in Obi-Wan Kenobi was just a little appetizer when it comes to the fourth sister. But in this one, they really gave her a lot to do. And I really really liked that, especially her relationship with Barriss Offee. I thought that was like one of the most interesting parts. And also one of the most interesting parts about Barriss Offee, because even though in Clone Wars season 5, after the revelation of the bombing and when she framed Ahsoka and everything, like she basically was a villain and a traitor to the Republic. But still, even with that in mind, you can see the conflict throughout all the 3 episodes. You can see the conflict of like like different beliefs and what's right and wrong. Like all the way through the mission where she basically betrays the fourth sister. Like because when her and the fourth sister were on a mission to find like this like force user to eliminate him and everything. Like I really love how Barriss Offee was trying to reason with her. Like they're saying like hey, look, just give us the force user and we'll let all of you go. Like no big deal and everything. But the fourth sister was like, oh no, they've seen like they need to die. And I really like that when basically the fourth sister basically massacred everyone in the room. I love how the Barriss Offee was like holding that child. And she's like no, don't look. Like like you can still see that there's still some good left in her. You can still see like there's some like Jedi and elements and good elements like is still inside her. Like you can still sense that and everything. And but the final episode when we see her like way more older, it makes me wonder, was that set after the original trilogy or maybe during the original trilogy? Because like the fourth sister was still there. She was still an inquisitor, so I guess it must be like somewhere like maybe near Star Wars New Hope or maybe a little bit after. I don't know, but like it must be like somewhere like during that time. Because like when the original trilogy came out, the Inquisitors were already dissolved and everything. So I know, but it was really interesting to see her older and everything. And again, the way how she confronted the fourth sister and also trying to reason with her and everything throughout the entire time, it was absolutely amazing. Like you can feel like the like the you can feel like the trail of like Dave Filoni's fingers, like all the way through it. You can feel it. But still, it was really great. It was really, really absolutely great. When it comes to Barriss Offee's character, her part of of this anthology series didn't disappoint me at all, basically. Now, one of the other things I do have to say is the voice cast. Like the voice cast of this show, it was really, really great to see some like old actors like returning in like for like the same role they played in the past. Like for example, seeing Deanna Lee in Ascento back as Morgan Elsbeth, like well not the younger Morgan Elsbeth, like the older Morgan Elsbeth. I feel like that was actually kind of cool that she returned to voice her. Also seeing hearing the original voice actress voicing Barriss Offee, I thought that was also cool as well. I mentioned the Four Sisters actress, also returning. That was also pretty cool. It was really great to hear Jason Isaacs back as the Grand Inquisitor. That was also pretty cool as well. Also, the actor who portrayed he was kind of like he was kind of like the first magistrate of Corvus. Wing, yes, Wing, yeah. It was really great to see that actor returning as well. When it comes to the voice cast, also I'm hearing General Grievous just for a little bit. That was also pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, like a lot of voice actors, like a lot of the original voices returned for the show, and again, it was really, really great. Also, I mean, hearing Warwick Davis returning as Rook, that was cool as well. Also, the actor who played Captain Palion in The Mandalorian season 3, him, hearing returning as Captain Palion, that was also pretty cool as well. Lars Mikkelsen, I mentioned that, he's great as always as Thrawn. Like there's a lot of stuff, there's a lot of voice cast in this, that really, 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 really surprised me, that they have returned, with alongside some new ones as well, which also, so overall the voice cast for me, I didn't mind it at all. Like every single one of them did a phenomenal job when it comes to voice performances, especially Lars Mikkelsen as Thrawn, the Fourth Sister, and Barriss Offee. Those three for me, they had the greatest like voice performance in this anthology for me. With that, now of course, with that being said, I do have to talk about the animation. I mean, the animation, as always. I mean, ever since the Clone Wars season 1, or even the movie, oh my god, how much the animation evolved. It became so clean, so detailed, like from certain movements, from like certain like action sequences, from like certain lightsaber duels, from like facial structures and emotions. Like wow, the animation is absolutely spotless throughout the entire anthology, like Tales of the Empire. Like the animation, I have no complaints about that at all, at all. It is absolutely beautiful and spotless. Now, the other things I do have to mention is the connections. Like, I really love how Dave Filoni and the crew, I really love how they connected, Star Wars Tales of the Empire with many different, like, other events. Like, for example, like from the what was it, like the Mandalorian season 2, Order 66, basically Ahsoka with connections with Morgan Elsbeth and Thrawn, like the massacre of Dathomir's like Night Sisters, like from the Clone Wars. Like I just love the way how Dave Filoni and the crew basically kind of try to connect this like particular anthology series with like the many different events that happen like throughout different TV shows or movies, it just simply lands perfectly. All of the connections, like I said, all the way through Morgan Elsbeth's story all the way to Barriss Offee. But I'm still curious when was said that that event of Barriss Offee in the last episode when we saw her older. That's what I'm interested in the most. When did that happen? Now, with that being said, here comes my final thought. So overall, Star Wars Tales of the Empire, if I have to go between Tales of the Jedi and Tales of the Empire, if I have to make a comparison, I would say Tales of the Empire so far is the weakest of the two. And the main reason why I think is like the weakest because of the Morgan Elsbeth story. Because again, he was a character. Again, it kills me to talk about this. Okay, it kills me to say this. Because but they have to be real here. Like Morgan Elsbeth's character is a character. I think no one was interested to basically hear when it comes to her overall background and everything. I think like that, and I think like that's the main reason for me why Star Wars Tales of the Empire is like the lowest of the two, basically so far. Because again, Morgan Elsbeth's character arc, I felt like it was like I thought it was the only part for me that personally, I wasn't interested. I mean, again, I still accept it. It was a nice addition. I still think it's a nice addition. But personally, you know, I didn't, I personally, I just simply, wasn't interested. Like the same way, like for example, in Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, I was interested more into Count Dooku's story than Ahsoka Tano's story. So like basically you choose one over the other. So if I have to choose between Morgan Elsbeth and Barry Sophie, I would say the strongest part tells the Empire is definitely Barry Sophie. Like her overall story. But again, it's all a matter of taste. It's all a matter of choice. Like, yeah, because I guess a lot of you guys, will definitely say like, oh, both are great, or Morgan Elsbeth's story was way more better than Barry Sophie. Like, okay, look, it's okay. We all do have different choices. We all have different tastes. We all have different comments. It's absolutely understandable, and I respect that. But overall, for me, Morgan Elsbeth's story, I think it was the weakest of the two. Barry Sophie was the strongest, but besides that, like the animation was great. The story was done pretty well. The overall connectivity, the way how they used it was also pretty good. All the characters was interesting. It was really great to see some old faces returning as well. The voice cast was great as well. Overall, besides, like I said, which story was the weakest, everything else around it, like, all the way even like to the soundtrack as well, like everything besides, like I said, Morgan Elsbeth's story, everything else was perfect in Star Wars Tales of the Empire. So with that being said, I would say my 1 out of 10 rating for Tales of the Empire, I'm gonna go with 8 out of 10 Shadows. I'm gonna go 8 out of 10 Shadows, and the only reason why it's not a 9 or a 10 is just because, like, Morgan Elsbeth's story was the only part I wasn't really interested at all. But I still, even still, like, give it a rating like that, I still welcome it with open arms. I still do. Yeah, with everything said and done, I still appreciate what they did. But again, between like I said, Barry Sophie and Morgan Elsbeth, Barry Sophie for me had the strongest storyline than Morgan Elsbeth. But overall, I'm giving Tales of the Empire an 8 out of 10. And with that being said, here I am done, guys. As always, I hope you appreciated and liked or enjoyed, my review about Star Wars Tales of the Empire. Rate the video, comment, subscribe, give me personal thoughts on this. If you have seen Star Wars Tales of the Empire already, what did you thought about the overall this anthology series? Which story do you think was better, Barry Sophie or Morgan Elsbeth? Have you watched Star Wars Tales of the Jedi previously? Everything in general about Star Wars Tales, just put it in the comment section down below. Also, if you're interested to see my Star Wars Tales of the Jedi review, the link is going to be in the video description down below as well. Without any further ado, stay tuned for more. See you guys next time. And as always, Lord of Shadows signing off. See ya. Or, as I like to say, later, fuckers.